Hi, welcome to Criminally Creative. Today is Sunday, October 4th, and this is episode 19. I'm Susan. You can find me on Ravelry as Legal Eagle and also on Instagram as Criminally Creative Podcast. It has been 2 months again, despite my best intentions and plans to podcast earlier than this. It just hasn't happened. And surprisingly, well, not surprisingly, I guess, but for 2 months, I really don't have as much to show you as I might normally have. But, you know, that's life right now. So anyway, I'll just jump right into it. Hopefully this won't be too long of an episode. But first in hearsay, just to give you a little bit of an idea what's been up with me. Work, I have mostly been in and out of the office. I'm usually going in the office a couple of days a week. Working from home other days a week. I've had some weeks where I was in the office most of the week. We had a position open and did some in-person socially distanced interviews a couple of weeks ago. So that was resulted in me being in the office most of the week. But fortunately, we found somebody we think that's really going to be great. And hopefully they'll start in the next couple of months. But other than that, I go in when there's a committee meeting going on or I have something that's just easier to do in the office. And then I work from home usually 2 to 3 days a week. It will probably be that way through the rest of the calendar year. In January, the General Assembly comes back into session in what we call long session, mid to late January. So I don't know yet how that's going to go. My guess at this point is they're going to be full on in session and I will be back in the office most days. So, excuse me. Working from home means I don't talk as much. Oops, sorry, shook my camera. Anyway, so that's it for work. For fun, I have had a little bit of fun the past couple of months. I spent a weekend with my college girlfriends down at White Lake, and we went to Beach Mountain for Labor Day weekend in North Carolina with my parents and my brother and his family. Rented a house there for the weekend and just kind of hung out together and stuff. And then we went to Ocean Isle Beach for a week in September with another couple that we travel with a lot and a third couple that we had never met before, but that is good friends with the couple we travel with a lot. And we had a great time with all of them. So that was nice. We were on the east end of Ocean Isle, which if you're from North Carolina and have ever been to Ocean Isle, you might know that that is the end that seems to be washing away. So we were oceanfront, and we were about as oceanfront as you can get and not swim. At high tide, the water was coming up under our house. So there were sandbags in front of the house. I mean, as the tide went out, there was some beach and stuff to walk on and sit on and everything. But high tide was a different story. So it had been a while since I've been down to that end of the island, and it was quite surprising to see how much erosion has happened there. But anyway, we had a great week just relaxing and hanging out and eating good food and drinking some alcohol and playing games. So that's been about it. Nothing else too exciting going on really that I can think of. So I'll just get right into the knitting. Like I said, for 2 months, I really don't have as many verdicts as I might normally have. But my knitting mojo I've been knitting regularly, but I just haven't been as productive as I might normally be. I guess I'm slogging through a little bit more than usual, but I have finished a couple things. The first thing is the gradient baby blanket. I showed you that in progress last time. I'm going to insert a picture here because that has already actually been gifted to my coworker who is due with her first child in a couple weeks, actually. And that was made out of Universal Yarn Cotton Supreme in the lemon and silken colorways. And I believe, I didn't write it down, I think I knit that on a US 7, which I think is a 6mm, 5.5mm. I didn't write it down, sorry. The pattern that I followed for that is Gradient Baby Blanket by Sarah Marks. And I forgot to mention, show notes will be in Ravelry in the Criminally Creative Podcast group. There will be a thread with all the show notes. I am working on a website. I have bought a domain name, so that I can put show notes there. So people who have issues with Ravelry can at least see the names of the patterns without having to go to Ravelry. But quite honestly, it will probably be the end of the year before I get any kind of decent website up on that. So for now, if you have any questions about anything I talk about, there will be show notes on Ravelry in the Criminally Creative Podcast group, which I would love for you to join. It's not very active. It's mainly my show notes, not a lot of chat or anything. But if you do have questions and Ravelry is not your friend at the moment, please feel free to leave me a comment below, and I will be happy to respond to you there. Or you can direct message me on Instagram at Criminally Creative Podcast, or you can email me. And I can't remember my email address for the podcast. It's all, I'll put it on the screen here, but it's also at the end of the podcast in the final page. We'll also provide the email address. So anyway, got distracted there, but the gradient baby blanket I knit for my coworker Jessica, and again, the Universal Yarn Cotton Supreme is gotten to be one of my favorite yarns for doing baby blankets, because cotton is such a friendly fiber for North Carolina, particularly for summertime, and it is also washable and dryable, and you don't have to worry about finding an acrylic that's decent, so there's nothing wrong with acrylic, and a lot of times I do make baby blankets in acrylic just because I don't want to give a new mother something that she can't machine wash and dry. But assuming they're a close enough friend that I don't mind spending the money for this cotton, I really am liking it. Anyway, the next two things I finished are my socks for August and September. And I do have two of each of these, but I'm splitting my sock blockers and just put one each on a sock blocker. So August socks were mustache yarn in the Beauty and Her Beast colorway. I can't remember. I may have showed you just a little bit of this because I think my last podcast was like August 1st or 2nd. Like always, my socks are toe up, fish lips kiss heel, 2 at a time on US 0 2mm. I knit 2 at a time on 2 circulars. And so this is just a plain vanilla toe up with a little bit of sort of twisted rib at the top. I twist the knit stitches, but I don't worry about twisting the purl stitches. So, and then September socks were done out of a Gale's Art sock blank. And I will also put a picture in here of the sock blank before I knit it up. I knit from a double knit sock blank, which means it was 2 strands of yarn coming out at once. Since I do knit 2 at a time, that is my preferred type of sock blank, because that way I don't have to unwind the entire sock blank to divide it into 2 balls of yarn. Because if you've never knit from a sock blank, there's always one end that unravels better because it's the end. Typically, I have not had any trouble knitting from double knit sock blanks as far as, keeping my yarn separate and that sort of thing. This blank, for some reason, I'm not sure if it's that I had not knit with a sock blank in a long time, or if it was this particular sock blank, the way it got knit up. For some reason, it really just kept getting twisted up on itself more so than normal. I'm sure that is not Gail's fault, because I believe she actually purchases her sock blanks already knit up. And it probably was just a fluke, because I have knit multiple sock blanks from her, double knit sock blanks, and never had that issue before. So this one was a little frustrating, but they turned out really pretty socks. Very fall looking for September. And put my page on my notes here. The next verdict is something that I think I may have showed you the yarn for this last time, because but it had not started yet. It was a mystery knit along, the Sharon Shawl by Casapinka. By now, if you're at all interested, you should have seen the finished object, but if for some reason you haven't and you're still trying to keep it secret, look away. I knit this on a mostly a US 6 4mm needle. There are a couple of sections that were done in a US 4 3.5mm needle. And the yarn is Miss Bab's Yummy 2-ply. I'm gonna put a picture in so you can see the whole thing like at one fell swoop. But this is a long rectangular shawl, and it's done kind of in sections with lots of different stitch patterns. And it started on this end. The color, and this is a good area probably to show you the colorways. The colorways that I used are, I think I said this is Miss Bab's Yummy 2-ply. The tan is called Plover. The kind of peachy color is Muslin. The corally color is called Adobe, and the purple is Japanese Maple. So it started on this end, and they were really cute. So this was actually designed by Casapinka's cat, Sharon, who is head of security. It was really cute patterns. There was lots of little funny comments, and each section kind of had a name that was funny. But I can't remember them all. And so if you really want to know, then go by the pattern and read it. But so it started on this end with eyelets, some stripes. This was a neat little stitch. I can't remember what she called it, but this right here, is actually Morse code. You see kind of the dashes and dots, and I should have looked it up. I can't remember exactly what it said. It was something like, so some of the funny things about Sharon from security, who is Casapinka's cat, was always talking about Jean from IT, who is a butthead or something. And this actually says something like Jean from IT is a butthead or something along that line. I can't remember what, if you interpret the Morse code. So anyway, just, a bunch of different little sections with different stitch patterns. That was really, this was a neat little stitch too. I don't know if you can see the two colors there. Excuse me. This was like, I think, cat paws or something it was called. I can't remember. And that was also a neat little stitch in that section. But anyway, so it's probably, it's a little over 6 foot long. For the most part, there was a small and a large, and basically it was a couple of sections where if you didn't want it quite as long, you just didn't do as many repeats of things. I did the small because I'm just barely over 5 feet tall, and so I didn't want it too long. I don't wear rectangular shawls as shawls much. I will probably wear this more either as a scarf. I might wear it really, kind of as a cowl-like scarf pulled up like that. Or if I want to do more just decorative, I might, do that. And of course I would pluff it out a little bit better, a little wider, so you could see the stitch patterns and stuff. On the other hand, I'm still trying to decide. It might end up being a Christmas gift for somebody. I haven't committed myself to a lot of Christmas knitting because I hate the idea of rushing, but just thinking, I haven't decided yet. It might end up being a gift. Anyway, so that was the Sharon Show by Casapinka. And then the last verdict that I have is Rami Hill Shawl. This was her summer knit along. It was not a mystery, but she did it in, the whole pattern was released from the beginning, but then she did, I think, 4 weeks or 5 weeks of, so she kind of said, okay, so for this week, do this section. And she had a video, I think, and she had like a little Zoom chat and things like that. I didn't really participate in any of that. I just did the pattern. And of course I went beyond 5 weeks getting it done, but I have not blocked this yet because I just finished it last week and just haven't had a chance. But it is a triangular shawl. And it was an interesting construction for a triangular shawl because most triangular shawls you start at the center up here and you increase to work out for the triangle. This one actually started down here at the tip. and you increased this way, and you created this center triangle, and then you bound it off using this nice little I-cord, it was actually I don't remember if she called it a reverse I-cord or a purled I-cord, but it's basically like a garter stitch I-cord in the contrast color across the top. And then you picked up the loops along the outside edge of the triangle and you knit a couple of rows, the whole triangle, and then did an applied border in the garter stitch across. So this yarn is, first of all, this was knit on a US 5 3.75 millimeter, and the yarn is Medusa yarn, and Medusa yarn and fiber. Her base is the Muses is the type of base, and the colorways are denim and stoned. I didn't write it down, but I can't remember. This yarn is like alpaca, cashmere, and silk, I think. It's really soft. And this is probably going to be a gift for someone once I get it blocked. So that is all of the verdicts. Let's get to Quarton Session. As usual, I have a gazillion projects on the needles, but I'm just going to show you about 4. I have a 5th one that I've been working on, but I can't show that because it's a test knit. So the 4 other ones that I'm actively working on at the moment. First is October socks. So I am doing, as usual, 2 at a time, 2 circulars. And if they look Christmassy, that's because they are. The yarn is Lollipop Yarn Traditional Sock in her Christmas Carol colorway. Yeah, that's right, Christmas Carol colorway. I am joining in the Festive Sock Along 2020 with Amy Florence from the Stranded podcast. I've decided recently that I want to jump on her bandwagon of trying to get 25 pairs of Christmas socks to wear in December. Not for this year. I won't have 25 pairs for this year. But I want to start slowly adding some more like truly Christmas colored or Christmas themed socks to my sock bin to wear in December. I'm keeping this in my one of my Grinch bags, which is from the Silver Shed USA. She is on Etsy. If you, I'll put a link in the show notes. But if you go looking for her on Etsy with their crappy search engine, make sure you put the Silver Shed USA is the only way you will find her. So I have several of her bags and really like them. The next project is I have gone not overboard. I really like the Hohe & Co. bags, which if you haven't seen, go to, I think it's hoheandco.com. Again, I'll put a link in the show notes. They are not inexpensive, but they are leather. They're made in Argentina. They are handmade. She is employing people that need to be employed down there. And for being leather handmade bags, they are not out of line in pricing with what I would expect to pay for that. So, but they are not cheap. But I now have 3 different bags. This is one of them. This is her extra large BA bag in the hot pink. She has the BA bag in this style that's a little bit smaller version. This is the extra large. And it's big enough for, it's probably big enough for at least 4 skeins of yarn and a project comfortably. And this strap right here will move. Well, I'm not going to take it off right now but it will undo from that and go over here if you don't want it out as a handle. So, in this bag, I have a Hohe pattern. I am knitting the 3-color cashmere cow by Hohe Locatelli. I'm knitting it on a US 2 2.75 millimeter. This is the start of it. It is I am knitting it rather out of the Fiber Studio. I cannot talk today. Sorry. The Fiber Studio at Yarns to Die For in her cashmere silk fingering weight, which is, sorry, I got a little bit of tangle there. Come on. Which is a 65% cashmere, 35% silk blend. And 2 of these are attached. So the 2 colors that I've used so far are the Haint Blue. This is Haint Blue and Navy. And then if you look at the 3-color cashmere cowl, you'll see that there is a block of a 3rd color at one portion of it. Most of the cowl is these 2 colors, alternating striped various ways, and then there's kind of a bigger block of a 3rd color, and I will be doing that in the Cabernet. So I think that's probably going to be for me. I haven't decided yet. We'll see once I get it done. And the next project, so mid to late August, I was really just kind of slogging and knitting. I didn't really, I don't know, I felt like I wasn't getting anything done. I wasn't excited about anything I was knitting. So I decided to sign up for the Ho-He Fall Knit Along, just to see if it would motivate me to do something. One of my goals at the beginning of this year was to knit 4 sweaters this year. I have not knit even 1 sweater this year. I have 3 on the needles, counting this one, but the other 2 I'm nowhere close to finishing. So my goal is to try to finish this one by the end of November. That's the deadline for the Ho-He Fall Knit Along. I started the 3-color cashmere cowl like the 2nd day of the knit along, but for some reason, it didn't really occur to me the end of August to sign up that one for the knit along, because you have to tell them ahead of time what you're going to do just to qualify for prizes. I don't really care about the prizes. I'm just trying to get motivated to get something finished. So I am making the Earnest Cardigan by Ho-He Locatelli. I'll show you this picture of it, the cable. This is also in one of the Ho-He & Co. bags. This is in one of their box totes in the stone colorway. Whereas the extra large BA bag is a like suede leather, this one is a more shiny, what do you call this, pebble leather? I don't know the terminology. But anyway, so I am making this out of, let me grab a whole ball of yarn. Miss Bab's Yummy 2-ply in the Miriam colorway, which is a kind of a deep teal. And so far, not as far along as I should be, but there's 2 more months, so I did get some progress done in September. Get the right side. So this pattern starts at the back neck, and then, so it's working down kind of in a raglan style. So this is the back neck center, and it has a nice cable, 4 cables across the back, and the rest of the body is all double seed stitch for the most part. And then, of course, and then the front panels are knit as you go, so it's not having to pick up and knit at the end or whatever. So I'm a little over halfway to the sleeve split right now. I did most of this the week we were at the beach. I had started it right before we went, and I did a lot of this week we were at the beach, and then it actually kind of sat the past couple of weeks, and I just picked it back up yesterday. So hopefully over the next couple weeks I will get to the sleeve split, and I'm hoping to have at least 3/4 of the body done by the end of this month, so that in October I can finish up the body and do the sleeves. It is fingering weight, so of course that takes a little longer, particularly at the larger size that I'm doing. I don't know that I mentioned I'm knitting that on a US 4 3.5 millimeter needle. It is one of those patterns that getting started on it, the part I'm in right now, it's like you do this and then stitch mark, get to this marker and do this, and get to this marker and do this, and get to this marker and do that, which the first probably 10 rows or so you do that. You're constantly looking at the pattern, trying to figure out where you are and what you're supposed to be doing. But now that I've done 50 rows or so of it, it's relatively intuitive, and I can remember what I'm doing next, so I don't have to keep looking at the pattern. I just have to keep a kind of a tally of every time I finish kind of a 6-row repeat, so that I know how many times I've done it, because it would be kind of hard to count the rows. Anyway, so the last thing I'm going to show you is actually crochet instead of knit. I'm going to butcher this name probably because I don't speak French, but the name of the pattern is d'Histoire Naturelle, which I think is a museum somewhere in France, or some kind of garden. I think it's a museum. The pattern designer is Christina Haddering, Haddering, and this is the Crochet Along 2020 for the yarn company, whose name I'm also going to butcher, Scheepjes. And I tried to listen to several pronunciations online because it's a Danish word, and I still don't quite get it, but it's like skeppies. I don't know. Anyway, apparently it means little boats in Danish. But anyway, so this will ultimately be a blanket. I am doing it out of a kit that I bought from Webb's of the Shepjes yarn. I bought the entomology kit. I'm not going to show you all the different colors because there's like 12 or 14 of them, and names, but all that is on my Ravelry page for the project if you're curious what a particular color is or something. Doing most of the, right now so far, all of this is being done with a 4mm hook, which is a G. Apparently there are portions that we will be using a 3.5mm E hook. So this is through part 2. This is a crochet along, but it is not a mystery. There's pictures of the whole entire blanket out there, so I don't think I'm spoiling this for anyone. But so I have done through part 2, and hopefully that's showing you most of it. There are, part 2 was like the garden or something. There's little bees, little butterflies. So this has really been not consuming my time, because the first clue came out Wednesday, like a week and a half ago, and I did the first clue, so the gauge swatch was like the very center of it, which came out like the week before. And so then the first part was through this green outline as a square, and then part 2 has been turning it into this octagon, I guess, not hexagon, octagon, and doing all this. And now the next clue does not come out until October 13th. You get 2 weeks to do part 2, but I got kind of obsessed. I'm really enjoying this because I'm very much a novice crocheter. I've done some crochet projects, but not a lot, and mostly blankets and stuff like that. This is a blanket, but I'm learning a lot of new stitches and techniques, and more than anything, two things really. One, I'm getting a lot better at seeing where I'm supposed to be doing the stitches, and being able to count crochet stitches and things like that. But 2, I'm also learning a lot about the way different crochet stitches can build on each other to create shaping and that sort of thing. I feel like with knitting, I have a clue, if I want to increase somewhere, if I want to, make it a little wider here or a little smaller here, that sort of stuff, how to do that, and how to make the shape that I want to happen occur in knitting, but I have never done enough crochet to really have a sense of that. And all the crochet I've ever done has been relatively straightforward with minimal shaping. So some of these stitches I've never really done before. Other stitches I kind of knew what they were, but I'm just learning a lot, and that's really enjoyable to me. So I may have also found about 6 other crochet blankets on Ravelry that I now want to make, but we'll see. So that's just been a lot of fun to do something different and to learn some new techniques and you know, so that's been good. But anyway, that's really all I have to show you today. I don't have pre-trial proceedings or discovery. There's nothing definitely on the horizon. I haven't decided if I'm going to make anything for Christmas gifts. If I do, it may just be some hats. Yeah, I need to kind of see if anybody in my family wants any hats. I'm not planning any big, huge Christmas knits. I just don't have the motivation right now. But I may whip up a bunch of hats and just send everybody hats, or I might, you know, at this point, I don't even know who I'm going to see at Christmas. We haven't talked about that yet. Normally by now we'd have an idea where we're going to be Christmas and where we're not going to be, or who we're going to see, but it's just such a weird year. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm trying to focus more on what I already have on the needles and getting things done, and ignore the urge to cast on a bunch of different things. Although, you know, sometimes there's just nothing better to do than to cast on something you're excited about. So if that comes along, I probably will do that. But anyway, so I think that's about it. Hey y'all, me again, just popping in here to say I did forget to tell you that Carolina Fiber Fest, which is an event in March of each year that I'm on the board for, is doing a virtual pop-up event on Saturday, October 31st on Facebook, in the Facebook group Carolina Fiber Fest Pop-Up Market. So if you're interested, please check that out. You can go to the Carolina Fiber Fest Facebook group and find a link to the Carolina Fiber Fest pop-up market group as well. And I will also put some links in the show notes. Kind of short, but that's good, probably. And I feel like there was something else I was going to talk about, but I didn't write it down, and so I can't remember what it is. But anyway, I hope y'all are doing well and hanging in there, and drop me a comment below. I'll do the YouTuber thing, thumbs up, subscribe. You know, I really just do this for the fun and to share with the people I know in real life that are watching it, but I'm always happy to meet new people. And if you are out there and I have never met you and you're enjoying the podcast, I'd appreciate if you'd let me know. And I guess I will see y'all later. Bye, y'all.